We continue to discuss ISSA's decision to limit the number of foreign athletes competing in Jamaica's high school competitions. So far, we've heard from our in-house track and field analyst, Leighton Levy, and from the president himself, Keith Wellington. Today, we get a reaction from one coach, Michael Oliver of Ascension, who has experience honing his skills in Jamaica. Oliver has coached at Wilmers and St. Elizabeth Technical High Schools and has assisted some athletes from his home country with coming to Jamaica. He joins us via Zoom to weigh in on the debate of whether or not ISSA has made the right move with the latest announcements. Mike Oliver, how are you doing? The last time I saw you, you were in Kingston last year for the Carifta Games. I was looking for you in the Bahamas this year, but you are nowhere to be found. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm very grateful to be back in the program again.
Fantastic. It's great to have you. Can you talk to us about, or give us an initial reaction to the announcements by ISSA? Initially, we had heard that there would be a limit on the number of overseas athletes who can compete in high school sports in Jamaica. Technically, that is not false, but it's also not the real story, because it's really only a part of the story, because only athletes who are over the age of 16 or who come to Jamaica over the age of 16 who will be part of the quota system. So how do you react to this?
Well, I tend to agree with the rule in terms of the restriction of the number of athletes to take part. From two perspectives, really. One, from a person who's been in the Jamaica system, so I'll speak first as a Jamaican coach, and then I'll look at it from the other angle as a Ascension coach. I think the rule allows you to have a more level playing field, because the way I see things have been going over the last couple of years, if you allow some schools, they will bring in a real team for every class. So I think that some schools just cannot afford to even bring in one or two. So I think that allows for fairness and a more level playing field. In addition to that, I think it will, for example, a school will bring in maybe, let us say they bring in 4 Kenyans who will take care of everything from 8 to 5,000. And even the steeplechase. How is that young, aspiring Jamaican athlete going to feel to know that, boy, I go in school, it done? So I think it allows for some more development, particularly in the middle distance area. From the Vinci coach section, I'm honored to have had so many decent years in Jamaica, but I would like to see my country operating like Jamaica. I don't want to see my coaches just prepare athletes to send in the Jamaica system. I would like maybe one day Jamaican kids come to St. Vincent to train, because we have good coaches, but we need to just lift our level. So now that we're only having maybe 2 from each country, I think the coach now would have to consolidate and step up the level and let us here set a standard that maybe we could get other people to come there, okay? Like what's happening in St. Lucia.
Yeah, Mike, I gather that from a ISSA standpoint, they are very aware of the potential of the school system in Jamaica being swamped by foreign competitors. We had like 100 non-nationals competing at champs. What sort of figure numerically do you think would constitute swamping the system? Because I don't think as it is now it is swamped, but maybe ISSA is just trying to guard against that.
Well, there's a bit of paradox in the whole situation, because we try to swamp the US collegiate system at least as many as we can get to go there, and nobody complains. No Jamaican coach complains, right? So if Jamaica is that attractive to young athletes, I don't have any problem. Swamp it if you have to swamp it, but the only thing is that the Jamaican athletes may be sidelined. Well, they will never be outer sprinters, right? But I would like to see the program in Jamaica focusing more on middle distances.
Yes. Do you think the influx of the African athletes coming into the Jamaica school system and paraded by Kingston College is an inspiration to developing more quality middle distance and long distance runners to compete with them, as you just referenced?
Yes, I totally agree. Because if eventually after they run out of Kenyans and Nigerians to compete here. I think the coaches can step up, man. I know there are many coaches in Jamaica can say, okay, Kenyans come down, let's go. They are people who could do it. There's still the beaches, there's still the hills, and you have knowledgeable coaches. So let them come for a while. Maybe we could bring 18, but Jamaican coaches must step up now.
Yeah.
In those areas that they are traditionally weak, and not many right now.
Yeah. Mike, you came into the Jamaican system in the mid-1970s, I think, and you recall that there was a Vincentian athlete that was brought into the Jamaican system back in 1981. So this isn't something new. Were you responsible for Sebastian Warner's entry into Jamaica?
Well, I came home after World War stint after 76 to 79.
Yes.
I was there for the 2 years. I had some little issues with some kind of calypso business, so I was forced to leave. But Sebastian Warner, it was so impressive. I said, no, I can't leave this youngster home. He came, and also Charles Henry came also, and he paid for Los Perfectos and got them from obscurity to Premier League. So it started somewhere, and it is beneficial to us as long as you have an objective, you know. I mean, there was one guy who came up here, he won the high jump at Boys Champs. He came up with this great Hooper scholarship. He's a great student. He's a A-class student, but he's home.
You mean Veral Sam?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Veral Sam Jr.
Yeah, junior. Bronze medalist at Champs in the high jump and Carifter as well.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for your thoughts, Mike Oliver, and it's great to catch up with you again, and I'm sure we'll be seeing each other soon.
Thankful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good night.
Lance, there's something I have to say. I think we have been tricked. I think we've all been tricked.
Explain.
I think the Intersecondary School Sports Association has gotten this wrong. But it's not for the reason that people think. I think they've gotten it wrong because the decisions made here, as I'm looking at them now, amounts to a non-factor. This rule is a non-factor that will have very little impact on the system going forward. Now, why do I say that?
Yeah.
It struck me when, Lance, you asked the ISSA president how many of the principals had voted for this, and he said it was unanimous.
Everyone.
And
there was no dissenting voice.
And I thought to myself, why would there not be any dissenting voice? That does not sound right.
Yes.
And part of the reason there is because most of the schools know that the rule as it is now will not change much of what is already happening.
Yes.
And why is that the case? For the simple reason that there's a part of the rule that says if you are under 16 years old, you can come into the Jamaica system and you are not part of the quota system.
Yes.
So let's put it this way. If you attend Calabar High School and you start in grade 7 and you transfer to Kingston College in grade 8, you become part of the transfer quota.
Yes.
If you start at St. Mary's College in Trinidad and Tobago in grade 7 and you transfer to Jamaica College in grade 8 as a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old, you are not part of the quota. So it still makes sense for Jamaican schools to go after Caribbean talent and world talent once they're under 16 years old. Now let's think about the athletes who have come into the Jamaican system, the overseas athletes, and dominated, at least in track and field, in recent years. None of those athletes would be prevented from competing in the Jamaican system by virtue of this rule.
Yes.
certainly none of the top ones that I can think about. So if you're talking about the African athletes who have been at Kingston College, even with this rule, they would not be part of a quota system because they've come into the system under the age of 16 years old. A lot of the athletes at Jamaica College, at wherever they are across the country, even with this rule, would still be able to compete. So what's the point of the rule? Here's the other thing as well, Lance. Even the aspect of 17-year-olds, right?
Yes.
ISSA has also adjusted or is in the process of amending another aspect of the rule, as Keith Wellington told us yesterday. Whereas initially, if you went from one ISSA school to another and you become a quota athlete, you would remain a quota athlete for the duration of the time at the new school. Based on what the president told us, there will now be a limit on that. So there's a 3 or a 4 year limit. He could not confirm when we spoke to him yesterday. What that means, Lance, if you are able to get the talent in early enough, if you get the talent in at 13 or 14, by the time they get to 17, then there's a possibility that they are no longer quota athletes, which frees up your quota to bring in 17 and 18-year-olds from elsewhere. So teams will be able to comfortably get around this. And in my opinion, based on what I have seen right now, it's much ado about nothing. And it's the reason why pretty much all the principals voted, yep, let's do this.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid point there, and it's why I put the question to Mike Olivier just now about, as it currently stands, if the system is swamped with non-nationals, and maybe you will see the trend being bringing younger athletes in, since they won't be a part of the quota system. But let's see how it pans out from here.
Yeah, even if it's swamped, Lance, even if it's swamped, more and more will still come because this rule will not really prevent them. We'll see in time. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone.